I decided to do this video on battery operated heated gloves after spending hours trying to figure out which ones to buy and what size to buy. I went out to stores and tried a few different winter gloves on that are not heated. None of the stores have the heated ones. I'm in Arizona. I think they just think that you don't really need a winter glove, but it's certainly not true. And I found that the sizes varied so greatly, even in the same brand and even in the same line. I tried on an Alpine Stars that was a short one, and I don't understand how a winter glove can have a short gauntlet. And then tried on one that was long in the same model, and they fit differently. So I read a lot of reviews, and I have actually either 2 or 3 different sizes here that all, according to all the reviews, might fit me, but who knows? So I'm going to do an unboxing, talk about how they fit, how they go together, and then do a review on them after I get a little time to write on with them on the ones that fit, I guess. Next up, we have the Moto. Let's see how these look. So these have a similar charger, a couple batteries, UK adapter. Now these are a little different. Instead of having the drawstring like the other two, they've got a Velcro cuff in addition to the Velcro safety to keep them on. So a little bit on the tight side. Armor-wise, this plastic is a little unusual, weird. And they have real carbon fiber over here for protection on this end. Control is way on the outside here, which I'm not sure how that's going to work to use it later, because if you're on the bike and you want to use it, that's kind of out of the way. Next up, we've got one that doesn't even have a brand on it. I'm sure that it had some name on the Amazon listing, but nothing here has any branding, just typical Chinese import. I'll put links obviously in the video. The first thing I noticed here is that this is significantly lighter as far as the charging accessories compared to this. We'll get to charging accessories in a bit. I just want to go through the gloves at first here. So the first thing I notice here is this is just a nice subtle black glove. Nothing, this has a little bit of flash, has the fake carbon fiber. This just doesn't pretend to be anything it's not. Just has a nice plastic textured armor. Very thin little armor over the other knuckles. Once again, we have our adjuster and a cuff. This has a pretty much similar cuff and rain gutter arrangement as the other one. These are medium plastic, so they're flexible, but they're a little tougher than just your basic fabric. And let's see, what size did I get in this one? This is an XL, because I recall reading that a lot of people said these ran small. And this is interesting. This XL is tighter on my hand than these larges. Not by a huge amount, but it's a whole size different. So, yeah, these have a lot. This large has a lot more room in it, and it's looser than this XL. Honestly, I think I prefer this fit, because this one tends to bunch up because there's just a little bit too much fabric for my hands. This has a very nice feel. It's also soft on the inside. This one does not have an excessively large thumb. It has just a tiny bit, which like I said before, I have slightly long fingers but a short thumb, so nearly all gloves have a loose fit here. This is a nice fit on all of the fingers. Yeah, right away, electronics aside, the fit on this is much nicer than the fit on these. So now let's talk about the batteries and the charging system. As I mentioned, this pack that came with the Iron Gias is the heaviest pack. I'm not sure if that means anything. Here we've got the 2 separate batteries and a charger for the Kemi Moto, again much lighter. And then the charger, these chargers actually kind of look the same. They probably are. The batteries might be the same. So we'll go through them one by one. Let's start with the Iron Gias and their heavy pack here. I see. This also has a 12-volt adapter, while the other 2 only have a household charger. So you've got 2 batteries here. Very straightforward hobby style pack, shrink wrapped with a connector. Nothing special here. We've got 2500 milliamp hours, so 2.5 amp hours of capacity on this one. We've got a average generic wall charger with a pair of connectors, so you can charge both batteries at once. It looks like these batteries can be charged possibly inside the glove, but probably not. You probably need to take them out. They all have a pocket for the battery. And then we've also got a car charger, 12-volt charger, and this is weird. I don't get how this is going to work. This has the same connector as the battery does. So I'm at a loss here. I'll have to look up what the, because this is nonsense. I don't get why, yeah, I'll have to look up on the documentation what's going on. Now on the Kemi Moto, we have a slightly different pack. It has exactly the same capacity, 2.5 amp hours. It's smaller in dimension, but a little bit thicker, same weight. That should be expected. And it looks like the inputs are identical plugs. And it's got another simple AC adapter. It's got an AC adapter with the twin pigtails again. Cord looks to be a little bit shorter than the other one, but pretty much the same. This one includes a UK plug. Now looking at the battery pack on the unbranded ones, it's the identical pack. Everything about it is the same other than the label and the shininess of this shrink wrap. It's the same dimension, same specification as the other pack. So not surprising. They're all sourced in the same place in China. This charger is slightly different than both of the others, so the charger is not the same, and your typical connectors again. Now all of these have a pocket inside of them to put the batteries in. 2 of them have the pockets on the bottom, 1 has the pocket on the top. 2 of them are Velcro, and 1 is a zipper. I gotta say, I like the zipper best. It was the easiest to open and close. Well, the Velcro obviously closes easily, but it was kind of a pain to open. This has the pocket in the bottom, and it's Velcro. Very short wire. You can't really pull it out. For good or bad, that's probably fine because you're just going to plug the battery in and shove it all back in there. This one has a nice, generous cord. Here we've got a zipper pocket, super easy to use. The inside of this pocket stays in place. This one kind of pulls out, so it's a bit of a pain, more fiddling around. This is the nicest fit so far, as far as the battery. And the Kemi Moto, that one has a Velcro on the top. This wire is short and stiff. The pocket's kind of fiddly, so You know, none of these are a big deal. Just when you got to deal with it, you'll have to be careful that the pocket doesn't invert itself and you can't put the battery back in. Now I've set these up in various outlets in my kitchen to charge. So far, the Moto would be my choice as far as the charger they include, because the other ones are much bigger and occupy multiple spaces, while the Moto has that sideways style that only occupies the one space that it's on. Otherwise, I bet they all work exactly the same. They all have a light on them that'll turn green when it's done. So now for the on-bike test. I'm going to keep these in the same order. And one thing I already discovered with the iron Gias is after having put them on and taken them off a few times, the inside liner has become loose. And so now there's like some resistance and I've got to wiggle it to find the channel where my finger can go. I can just see this potentially, maybe not, maybe I'm paranoid, but over time becoming even worse if it keeps getting looser. So this has a really big thumb. I think that's going to be an issue, but let's see how it goes. Yeah, so you really can't feel the turn signal because of that huge thumb. If I'm not looking at it, I mean, it's there. I might get used to it, but it's pretty annoying. And then you have to make sure you've got the meat of your thumb to push it left. The right is a little easier, you just can't feel it. The mode switch, which is on top right here, that's terrible. I can't push it because I've got this other control box over here. And then that control box, I guess I can sort of feel it. Obviously, I don't have a clutch. This is an electric bike. But I do have my cruise control over here and high beams, and those work fine. That's an area that you can feel easily. So this is a pretty decent fit on the bars. The pre-curve is good, and I don't feel anything bunching up, so that's good. And the switch will be easy to hit while I'm riding if I need to. Next up, we have the Moto. And again, these are a pretty tight fitting glove, except for the thumb has a bit of space there, as I usually do. And I realize this carbon fiber might actually be real. It's not particularly well made, but it could actually be real. So this is the thinnest feeling glove. I think there's no insulation on this side at all, which is fine when you have heated grips. Oh, the feel for the turn signal and the mode switch is way better than on the iron Gias. So I think the iron Gias are out for me because of that thumb problem, unless I had them modified, which is hard to do when you have electric wires inside of it. The feel on this is good. There's a little bit of bunching up in the center, but I think that won't become a big issue, particularly if you just relax your grip and don't try to death grip the bars. The button is decent, won't be hard to push over here. And finally we have the unbranded ones. I just noticed, because I'm using my watch to turn the camera on and off, that this cuff is longer than it is on the others, certainly more so than on the Moto. And I just think that more coverage is going to be better for wind and rain. Thumb on this is pretty decent. Yeah, and I have great feel for the controls. Now, this has insulation on both sides. There is insulation here. It's clearly thinner on the palm side, but there's something there. And, if you don't have heated grips, you're going to have some kind of protection on this side also. Overall, right now, my gut is telling me that this is the one I'm going to go for myself, but I'll hold the judgment until I ride. I think the iron Gias are out because of the thumb problem, so I'm just going to test the other two on a real ride. I'll test the iron Gias also just to see how they heat up. This morning I woke up crazy early and it was barely 40 degrees out, so I decided to go out and ride for a test. And there was a clear winner out of that. I think that objectively, there are a lot of things these gloves do better than the others. particularly in how they heat the fingertips. Also, there was one clear loser, and that was the iron Gias. Those don't make any sense to me. The fingers are ultra short, so when I would reach, and I typically cover the brake with 2 fingers like a lot of people do, it was hard to do that, and the thumb was a weird thing. They just fit terribly. I decided that those are just out. So I rode around with one of these on and one of the other gloves, and just compared the two. And these were the clear winner. These are a little heavier, and the heat goes all the way to the fingertips. After, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of riding, the other glove that I had on the other side from the other brand, all of my fingertips were cold. And that's the entire point of putting these on, is I already have heated grips, but I need fingertip protection because that's where the fingers are being hit by the wind the most. These did the job much better. Overall, these have a lot of nice little features that are better than the other ones. Dumb little things like this pull tab here. When you go to put it on, you've got an obvious thing to hold to put it on you. This strap and then this elastic are just more convenient than the Velcro that's on the other ones. Sure, the Velcro is adjustable, but you need to manipulate it. This, because it's got a cord string with a little bit of flexibility, you could just adjust it and it's always going to go over your jacket really well. Now the Moto was a second at first, but they're the ones that had the cold fingertips. They also leaked air. I could actually feel airflow in the glove, and I have no idea how that would be. They claim to be waterproof, and I don't understand how they could possibly be waterproof and let a little bit of airflow into the glove. They're unbranded, but they say Daywolf on Amazon. So if you Google Daywolf heated gloves, you'll find these, and I'll put links in the video description. So I made some other notes. The Moto's leaked air. The iron Gias, they have a 12-volt adapter. I figured out that it's an adapter to power the glove directly without the battery at all. Let's see. The controls. So one thing I learned while I was riding is where you have to reach for the controls as you change the heat level or turn them on and off. The Moto has the heat control over here. So imagine as you're riding, you're holding the bars, and you've got to reach, you've got to look at it and reach over here, because you can't work the Moto control blindly. It's really small and it's hard to feel. This one, I could just reach over, it's big and obvious, press and hold turns it on. Touching it once changes heat. Also, this control shows you the battery level. So you're going to see the battery level and the heat indicator here. The other two do not tell you what the battery level is, so you would never know if it's going to die. If I'm on a long ride and I think the battery might be dying, I can look at it and choose maybe to have a little less heat for a while rather than just lose the heat completely. And I think that's about it. Those are my notes. So I'm keeping these. I'm sending the other ones back. And I can make an unequivocal recommendation that if these fit you like they would do me, you're going to love them. I did almost forget to include something about sizing. I had mentioned that earlier, that I got a large in the iron Gias and then XL in the other two. The iron Gias in the large were too big around, a little loose, but ridiculously short in the fingers. I don't get it. And super big in the thumb. The other two fit slightly small. So if you're mid-size, you probably should go up a size. If you're solidly a large or an XL, you should probably get the same size and see how it goes. They're on Amazon. It's easy to return and exchange and get a different size. I just found that most winter gloves fit slightly tight, and that's true for this brand.
Eccoci qua a recensire questi due guanti invernali, quindi con manico lungo e con la possibilità di essere riscaldati, perché all'interno, sia nella parte superiore che tra le dita, nella parte inferiore, è tutto stato installato una rete elettrificata per andare a riscaldare ogni punto della nostra mano. Infatti, come potete vedere, abbiamo due batterie in dotazione per entrambi i guanti, i cavi di ricarica delle batterie, e poi questo invece è un cavo diretto che si collega direttamente sui guanti per riscaldarli immediatamente tramite USB. Ora andiamo a vedere invece come si installa la batteria all'interno del nostro guanto. Apriamo il nostro guanto, che la parte interna, come possiamo vedere, è tutta bella foderata per tenerci al caldo. Prendiamo la cerniera, apriamo, prendiamo lo spinotto, vedete, lo colleghiamo alla batteria, lo reinseriamo nella sua tasca dedicata. Una volta che abbiamo chiuso la nostra cerniera, la batteria si troverà dove è posizionato il nostro avambraccio, nella parte sotto, che non ci darà nessun fastidio durante l'impugnatura, perché si trova esattamente qui la nostra batteria. Qua c'è il pulsantino che andiamo a premere, che ha diversi gradi di temperatura. Comunque abbiamo il libretto con tutti i livelli: rosso che è il livello alto, poi abbiamo il verde che è il livello medio, eccetera eccetera. Con un tap andiamo a modificare l'intensità e le temperature che noi vogliamo. Le nocche sono in fibra di carbonio, abbiamo anche un inserto in gomma per spannare la visiera del nostro casco. Sempre sulla parte alta del nostro braccio abbiamo questa comoda clip per inserire anche il giubbotto e stringere tutto, laccio per avere ancora più grip e per stringere ogni cosa. E vi assicuro che nel giro di 1 minuto, massimo 2 minuti, la vostra mano inizierà a riscaldarsi. Infatti io anche adesso sento calore. Ovviamente nelle giornate più rigide e più fredde possiamo andare a mettere la massima temperatura. Vi ricordo che la massima temperatura che raggiunge questo guanto è di circa 55 gradi. Poi abbiamo il pollice e l'indice che sono touch per eventuale utilizzo di cellulare con i guanti senza toglierlo. Questo invece è un comodo inserto in gomma per non farci stancare la nostra mano. Ora vi faccio andare a vedere cosa servivano questi due cavi, che come potete vedere questo è il cavo che troviamo all'interno del nostro guanto, maschio e femmina. Le andiamo a unire e tramite USB colleghiamo direttamente i nostri guanti, che ci permettono di essere riscaldati. Sempre nella confezione troviamo questa comoda sacca che ci permette di conservare e riporre dopo aver smesso di utilizzare i nostri guanti in maniera comoda. Vedete com'è carina? È di stoffa, è morbida, e sopra abbiamo anche i pulsantini con le clip che possiamo andare a richiudere.